Every year, in the heart of Naples, Italy, thousands of people gather inside the Cathedral of the Assumption of Mary. The air is filled with silence, anticipation, and prayer. All eyes are fixed on a small glass vial, held carefully in the hands of the Archbishop. Inside this vial is a mysterious, centuries-old substance, dark, solid, and lifeless. And then, before their very eyes, the substance stirs. The dried blood begins to move, softening, flowing, liquefying as though life itself has returned. The crowd erupts in prayer, bells ring, and tears flow. This is the famous miracle of Saint Januarius, known in Italy as San Gennaro. For over 1,700 years, his blood has defied the laws of nature, reminding the faithful that holiness is alive, that courage never dies, and that God's power still walks among us. But who was Saint Januarius? And why does his story still captivate the world? Saint Januarius was born in Benevento, a region of southern Italy, during the late 3rd century. The Roman Empire at that time was vast, powerful, and deeply suspicious of Christianity. Followers of Christ were seen as rebels, people who refused to worship the emperor as a god, and who challenged the pagan traditions of Rome. Despite this hostile environment, Januarius embraced the Christian faith wholeheartedly. His wisdom and deep love for God led to his appointment as the Bishop of Benevento at a remarkably young age. As a bishop, he shepherded his people with compassion. He cared for the poor, comforted widows, and guided his flock with courage. Januarius was not just a leader in title, he was a leader in sacrifice. He preached the gospel boldly, reminding his people that to follow Christ was not to escape suffering, but to embrace it with faith and hope. But the Roman Empire had little tolerance for Christian faith. Under Emperor Diocletian, one of the fiercest waves of persecution swept across the land. Churches were destroyed, sacred texts were burned, and Christians were hunted, imprisoned, and executed. Januarius was eventually arrested along with several companions, deacons, laymen, and even his lector. Their crime was simple: professing Jesus Christ as Lord. They were thrown into a dark, suffocating prison cell, awaiting trial and torture. Yet even in chains, Bishop Januarius did not waver. He encouraged his companions, saying, "Do not fear those who can kill the body but cannot kill the soul. We belong to Christ, and he will never abandon us." The trial was swift and cruel. Januarius was brought before Roman officials and ordered to deny Christ and worship the pagan gods of Rome. He refused. Angered, the governor sentenced him and his companions to death. At first, they were thrown into an arena filled with wild beasts. The crowd roared as hungry animals were released, but something astonishing happened. The beasts refused to attack. They circled the martyrs, but not a single bite or claw touched them. The spectators were stunned. Frustrated, the authorities ordered a swift execution. On September 19, around the year 305, Saint Januarius and his faithful companions were beheaded near the city of Pozzuoli. The blood of martyrs stained the ground, yet their faith became a seed that would grow for centuries. Among the faithful who witnessed his death were Christians who carefully collected his blood, sealing it inside a glass vial. This vial would become one of the most famous relics in Christian history. From that moment on, the faithful of Naples held Saint Januarius close to their hearts. His relics were venerated, and his story spread far and wide. But what shocked the world was what began to happen with the vial of his blood. Though dried and solid, the blood would, at certain times of the year, become liquid again. To this day, the miracle is observed 3 times annually: on September 19, the date of his martyrdom; on December 16, commemorating his protection of Naples from a volcanic eruption; and on the first Saturday in May, celebrating the transfer of his relics. When the blood liquefies, the people of Naples rejoice, praising God for his mercy and protection. But when, on rare occasions, the blood has failed to liquefy, fear has gripped the city. History records that earthquakes, plagues, and invasions often followed these ominous signs. Modern science has tried to explain the phenomenon. Some suggest chemical reactions, others speculate about natural properties of ancient substances. Yet, after centuries of study, no conclusive explanation exists. For the faithful, no explanation is needed. The miracle is not about science but about faith. It is a visible reminder that God is not bound by time, and that the saints continue to intercede for us. But what does this miracle truly mean for us today? For Catholics, the liquefaction of Saint Januarius' blood is not a spectacle, it is a message. It tells us that faith is alive, that the courage of the martyrs continues to inspire us, that the blood shed for Christ is never forgotten in the eyes of God. Saint Januarius' miracle challenges us to reflect on our own lives. Do we stand firm in our faith when trials come? Do we believe that God can still work wonders today? Or have we grown cold, doubting that miracles are possible? The miracle is also a symbol of hope for the city of Naples, a place that has faced wars, poverty, natural disasters, and suffering. Through it all, the people turn to their saint, trusting in his intercession. And time again they see his blood come alive, a sign that God still walks with his people. 17 centuries later, Saint Januarius is still celebrated as the beloved patron of Naples. On his feast day the entire city gathers. Pilgrims travel from around the world. The cathedral bells ring, the faithful hold candles, and prayers rise like incense to heaven. To the people of Naples, Januarius is not just a distant historical figure. He is family. He is protector. He is a witness that faith outlives death, and that love for God leaves an eternal mark on history. From humble bishop, to fearless martyr, to miracle worker across the centuries, Saint Januarius' story is one of faith, courage, and hope. His life reminds us that following Christ may demand sacrifice, but it also brings eternal victory. His blood reminds us that holiness is alive, that miracles are real, and that God's power never fades. So I ask you today, what miracle of faith is God working in your life? Where is He calling you to trust more deeply, to stand more courageously, to love more fully? Saint Januarius, pray for us. If this story inspired you, don't stop here. Subscribe to the Saint's Path for more powerful tales of faith and courage. Click the bell so you never miss a miracle. Share this video with someone who needs hope today. And in the comments, tell us your favorite saint or leave a prayer intention. We'd love to lift it up in prayer with our community. Together, let us walk with the saints on the path to holiness.